Hi everybody, it's Wednesday. I'm going to say it's Friday.
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. Yes, it's that. Let's put it this way: it's that kind of week. We'll start there. All right. So let's work ourselves backward. We've got some new data sets and sheets.
Yes.
Thanks to Jessica, who's working hard on refining these things. So it's always a learning curve. It's always a learning curve when you change the formatting, right?
Yeah.
It's like.
It is.
It's like for Joe trying on new socks. She's part of the studio audience today. She's listening in diligently. I'm sure I'll get hit later for that. But anyway. But what's not a laughing matter is the housing stats.
Yes.
You want to do that
Should I come up with Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's definitely, we have some interesting stats, but let's go for the record because we do serve New Jersey, and I want to point something out. Even with New Jersey, is Jersey sales are up.
Yeah.
The average sold price in Jersey has ticked upward. We have not been as fortunate here in Staten Island, so the numbers have kind of trickled down. We'll get into that in a second. So the stats are they seem to be leveling off. So we'll get into those numbers. They are leveling off, and I think we'll see some indications that it's leveled off a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a little bit of shock to the market in the fourth quarter of last year, where interest rates actually climbed to over 8. So definitely volumes was really on the decline last year at this time. So you look like you're freezing. You cold?
Oh no! I mean, it's like 80 degrees out.
Well, it's 80 degrees out there. It's like.
It's cold in here.
Yeah.
I like
it's
it.
getting a little chilly.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go over some of those numbers, and anyway, how do you like the warm weather?
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited for summer.
Didn't last time you had a picnic, right? The last time it was hot.
Yeah, I had a picnic, and now I'm gonna go to my friend's pool.
Pool. It's already pool season. Anyway, let's get to those numbers because I think that's what everybody's here to see. What are the real estate numbers that are going to matter to the people who watch? Because they're all dying to know what is the real estate market doing locally. So let's go shoot away. Go get those numbers to me and I'll interpret them.
Right into it.
Yes.
I'm going to start with days on the market.
Yes.
I noticed that it actually has stayed the same since last month at 102.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's up from last year. It's up 42%. So last year it was 72, and now it's
72 days to 102. So here's what we got here. So the good news is it's remained stable. So it's at 102 days. So for people who don't know what that means, days on the market is from the time a house gets listed, literally goes on the market that day, to the house is in contract. So it's very important. It's not actually physical sale. Mm-hmm. So it takes 102 days. So we're approaching 4 months on average. The average sale, which is 2 contract that a house is getting to. So the thing is, it's stabilized, but it's in this for the first time in about since the pandemic. It's breached the triple-digit territory, which is 102 days locally here in Staten Island. So 102 days again puts the average sale. It means from listing to contract, it's 102 days, and I think it's stabilized. We did report last month that pending sales were up considerably in month over month. I think it was up somewhere around 40% from last month. You don't have to look. I saw it. It's like it was quite substantial, and we were rather impressed by the latest, which I think kind of beat what I would estimate, what I would suggest would otherwise happen. So things are seeming to stabilize along with rates, and we're starting to see. The interesting thing is that if you are a home seller, this is a very, very, like, a lot of people are on the fence about this, like what's happening.
Yeah.
So what we're really looking at is, for our homeowners, it's like, when is the market going to be stable enough to know I'm going to get a price that I want? I think that can be a mistake, because I'm going to tell you, if those rates tick, now there's some people saying that the interest rates will tick down sub 6% toward the going into the third quarter of this year. So it's quite possible that that happens. And if it does, you're going to see a very, again, I think there's a lot of pent up demand for like the market to get to that point, because the job numbers are pretty. We're not, at least locally. Some places may be more affected with real estate prices, like the West. Real estate prices down in places like San Francisco, Seattle, have dropped substantially. So some of those markets are down 15%. Oh, wow. Based on the fact that the tech sector has really taken a bath. So like there's layoffs galore. Wow. We haven't quite seen that here in the Northeast and the East. So the eastern part of the United States, prices have been relatively stable. The West Coast, prices have plummeted quite substantially. Wow. But it's a very teetering, it's a challenging market. So we gotta watch several factors come into play. Bank failures, another thing that can weigh on the markets, could weigh on the real estate market as well, and we talked about that last week. So let's go to where, you can continue with those numbers, just to give a little insight into the interpretations. So the next set of numbers that we have is the average sold, not the average sold, the median sold.
Oh yeah, that is down year over year, 5.51%.
Yeah, 5.5%, which is the same thing.
5.5. 5.51.
So the 5.1. So if you are selling a house, the market is down. The median sale price is down in Staten Island from a year ago. Now, I just want to. This is kind of like because we deal with a little bit lower sample sizes here. I think, we're going to say, I'm going to say for the average here, it's about 4%, which is about 1% difference than it was a year ago. Okay, so prices are down about 4% as a general average. So why I'm basing that on is that the data and the data samples we use, unfortunately, when you talk about how many sales there have been, we're dealing with those smaller sample sizes. We have to factor that in and weigh that in. So it's around 5.5, even though the average sold price is over $700,000 in this report, which is the first time it's breached over the 600 mark, in quite some time. I believe in the last 3 months it's been sub 700 in the average sold price. But it's very important to know that the median is a better indicator, especially when you're dealing with lower volumes of sales, as to where the market really is. So even though it's showing a $705,000 average sale price, what will happen is the data will skew on average sale prices based on the fact that it could take several big big luxury houses into the market that change the data around to make it suggest that maybe the market's on the incline, but it's really not, because the median sales price is really, so that takes away the high and the low, and you kind of get the median, which is a little bit better indicator of where things are. So I do think that at the end of the day, we are looking at a market that has seen a little bit of a dip. And I will tell you though, I'm rather optimistic that this is a critical inflection point in the market. I think overall, I think that we may have staved off a bigger decline in home values because of the fact that prices the amount of homes on the market has substantially declined. You have that on here? Do you actually have on the sheets? How many listings were there from year over year?
Year over year, it has active listings.
Yes.
It is. Sorry.
We got a new format, so excuse the time.
It's.
Yeah, so the average, the amount of active listings year over year. So as of from April last year, which is 1509 to 1362. So there's about 140 less houses for sale this time this year versus last year, which is about, I'd say about somewhere approximately around 2.5% decline, 3% decline in the amount of available homes for sale, which is a stabilizing factor in the market. So is it that not being substantial enough? Because we always look at supply as being the number one factor. So the new listings are also down. New listings are down substantially from April last year. From 635 last year, 635 houses went up for sale in April of last year. This year on Staten Island is 443 sales. For 443 active new listings being placed on the market. Substantially down. It's a stabilizing force. So even buyers who are waiting, they're like, oh, well, the market's going to change. I can't say that that's actually, it's a supply and demand kind of curve. So as buyer demand may have waned, where it's waned off is they're still not getting more houses to look at. So that's still going to put houses in a more favorable light. But the interesting thing is it's still taking longer to sell a house, and there are bigger discounts being given by sellers. Sellers are discounting their house quite a bit more frequently than they did in previous months. I don't think we have that in this report.
No.
So prices. So what it was as of this report, it was about 96.6% of the average list price. The list to sell ratios. So the list to sell ratio has declined. It's 97, excuse me, it's 93.9. So so it's even more.
Yeah.
So it has declined. So from year over year, 2.3% year over year. So sellers are discounting their house at about, it's almost 6%. Yeah. So 6%. They're giving that's not a number I've seen in quite some time, but that's So it's 93% of their original price based on price reductions. That's their original list price. Overall, it's 96.5. So it's that part. That's the real number there. So 96.5, which is a little bit better than March of 2023, which basically is a 96.2. So which is last month. Last month. So the discounts have been a little bit less. It's about 0.3%. So it's not too bad in that sense. So that's also stabilized to a large degree. The interesting thing is last year it was at 98.8. So it's about so it's about a little bit like 2.2% discount. So buyers are seeing favorable advantages play out based on the numbers here. So let's not dismiss that as not being a factor. So the buyers are finding a little bit of a discount with these ratios. So but overall I don't think it's a bad news environment. I mean, you didn't do it, it seems rather stable. Yeah,
because even sold listings are.
So what are the sold listings? Get that over to me.
So the sold listings have been the same since last month. It's 255.
Yeah, 255 sold listings. Now, it's not an impressive number. Like 255
out of
Yeah,
13.
yeah, out of 1,300. So months inventory's up, the absorption rates are up, but 255 sales isn't for Staten Island. Just to give you kind of a context of where that sits within the historical perspective of real estate locally. You know, when you start going under 300, is not what I would consider the best of real estate economics moving forward. It's not the best scenario. And April is even a little less impressive because the other thing is that we did see a decline in pending sales, which is down to 335 units, down from 407 in March, and down substantially from April of 2022, which was 423. What was it, down 29%? I think you have it there. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's yeah. It's somewhere around 29%. So you know, I definitely think that pending listings, having that many pending listings drop off, that's a pretty substantial number now that I'm looking at it. So from April of 2022 to April of 2023, it's off over 100 units of pending listings. So it's definitely slowed down there. That's where we're seeing the number really decline from, you know, to come down that much. And it's the third straight month of declining pending sales. So if excuse me, it's the second straight month of the declining sales, month over month. Because I do think that it was somewhere around 400, around 293 back in February. February was a brutal month, folks. The stats were, it was absolutely, it was a brutal month because it was only, I think it was just around 200 sales for the month.
Yeah, I think I remember it being something like that.
So the 200 sales is down below the what I call that Mendoza line, which is 200 sales. I don't like the fact that we're at that point.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah, 255 isn't great either. So, but I don't see much. It's not. Let's put it this way. You know, for homeowners, yes, they can have to give a little discount, and there is some downward pressure on home prices. I do have some good news though for home sellers is that we are seeing New Jersey's market, Monmouth Ocean counties have seen over the last month a substantial increase in the amount of their, what I call it, their list to sell ratios have been on the improving drastically. So I think it's important to note that we kind of pay attention to that market because it's so closely correlated to what we're doing here. Especially when we saw a considerable amount of pending listings last month, which beat our expectations for what was going to take place. So I do think that at the end of the day, that has buoyed the New Jersey market somewhat. I mean, obviously, there's people coming from every state there, but Monmouth and Ocean counties is very heavily dependent on the Staten Island, Brooklyn markets to really buoy prices there. So because of that push in February toward March, where there's a lot more pending sales, you're seeing a little bit of increase. I would expect that based on the pending sales now, you're going to see a little shift back downward again, because it was kind of an anomaly in the data, and well, not the data, in the activity based upon our last stat report. So our stats are pretty, you know, I'm sorry, it's a little hard to interpret this stuff. You see all these color-coded stuff, and Keri's like,
it's different.
Yeah, it's different. So locating these numbers is a little bit on the challenging side. Well, I'm sure the next time you'll have it right down to.
Oh yeah, I'll.
She gives you those stats, those little tidbit stats. You know what? Forgive me, I haven't paid attention to all of them. How have those little tidbit stats gone?
Down. Everything I
Yeah?
say is down. Yeah, it's not.
You're still seeing that overall.
Yeah, it's kind of stayed the same. I feel
ever since you started working here.
Yeah.
Really. I think there was one I did see it was up. I think you did one that was pending sales were up. I got to look back.
There was one this month,
yes.
I think. Yeah,
yes,
I
was up.
remember.
I think it was up around 12 or 14%. Maybe I got to look, but I did see it. I'm like, oh boy, that's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
Actually, you know.
There's never both up.
Yeah, yeah. The you know, the amount of pending sales is you, and the amount of active listings are, you know, you very rarely see active listings and pending listings up at the same time. But that's the kind of market we're in. What do you feel about
the market?
Yeah. How do you feel about it? Do you feel anything about it?
I think I.
Are you going to buy a house? Is the question.
No. It's definitely not.
Not yet.
Not yet. No.
I mean, what? Let me just ask you, from you're a Gen Zer. You're gonna be shocked. You're Gen Z, and Gen Z. What's like? If you ask 5 of your friends now, like, what's their prospects for? What do they think about housing and real estate in general? Like, as being attainable, or do they believe it's attainable, or they just?
It's they're also scared like I am. We're all like, we want to stay with our parents as long as we can until we can buy a house. Because I mean, this is crazy right now.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It seems to be multi-generational. So you'll see this. This is a common thing, and that's a funny thing you brought up. Multi-generational housing is a thing now. That's the really interesting thing. So when we say multi-generational housing, is that we're seeing many families of different generations are sharing the house because, well, home affordability is a problem. And I think that's, so multi-generational housing is, again, and we started seeing, you know, multi-generational housing, and where you say you're staying along with your parents, I think it's important to understand. I mean, you think it's not unusual. Look, I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, people get married less. That's a dying art. it's fewer and fewer. I think they said by the year 20, I saw a stat, and that's an interesting thing because like the marriage family component has been like something that's waned over the years, and it's interesting because it does require in many cases 2 incomes to kind of support a household. Yeah, and that's becoming an issue moving forward. So. I wonder how that's going to play out moving forward. It's like, you know, I think now, I think for the first time, like, it's gonna break like almost 50%, like less than 50% of people over the age of like I think it was 35 are going to be married and like with a family. So it'll be under under 50%. So like it may be that already. I mean, and that's like a thing. That's a trend that, you know, if you're in housing, these are like interesting kind of trends that you see. It's like how the social mechanisms of real estate are starting to kind of take hold. So you see multi-generational housing, because a lot more people remain single longer. Yeah. So like they don't want to move out, and it's cost prohibitive. You know. Yeah. So if you have a 6% mortgage and you want a $500,000 mortgage, it's a lot of money. Yeah. I don't think many people could really take on that kind of number. So, I mean, that's something. Does that scare you?
It does. It really does. I'm hoping it gets better.
Yeah.
When I want to buy a house.
I mean, that's. But I mean, it's interesting because I do like to get a little, because we really don't talk much about it, but she's probably going to kill me after this for putting her on the spot. I gotta crack the code a little bit. No. But I mean, do you have any friends that have looked for a house or? No. No? Honestly. It's not even a consideration? No.
I mean, my cousin, she has roommates, but there's like 5 of them. Right. And they all pay their own.
Like portion of the rent?
Yeah. I'm not sure how much my cousin pays though. But I mean, there's like a lot of girls in the house like paying for
That must be fun.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, that must be fun. Does the landlord know?
Yes.
Well, that's good because that's going to be a way to that. I mean, but it's cost prohibitive. I mean, this is like, and that's why multi-generational housing, multi-person dwelling for rentals. It's like people will just live in groups, and it's just because of affordability.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? What do you think that, like, do you feel that prices will continue to go higher as you move along?
I feel like, yeah, I do.
Even with all these little downtrends, you still think you think it's going to be more cost prohibitive moving forward?
I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, everything that I read and
Yeah.
no, it
just seems to go that way, and she's freezing.
I'm holding myself.
So the big thing is you want to look at, if you're going into the markets right now, going into the market, obviously, look, it's still, I mean, interest rates are pretty cost prohibitive, can be cost prohibitive for younger generations, but you're seeing, I still think we're seeing much more move around buyers, meaning people who are selling and moving up. We are seeing multi-generational housing become a thing. It's become a thing again with costs ever increasing. So it's important to understand that these are parameters that you need to look forward to. And I don't think everybody's happy about it. But interest rates. So a couple of predictions here and a couple of overall. I'm just going to sum this up for you so you kind of get an overall of what the nature of what we talked about today is. The big thing is that the average home sale, the average median sale price now is down like to 5.5%. We're going to give it a 4% as kind of a little bit of a weighted average here. So about 4% down from year over year. Sellers are having to give a bit of a discount on the sale of a property by about 2.2%. So that's year over year. So it has, but folks, I mean, they are seeing it's way past like where the pandemic left them off. Does someone leave a message?
No,
Okay.
I have like a little smudge on my screen. I was looking at it. I didn't know if it was on your shirt or my screen.
Maybe it is on my shirt.
No, it's on the screen. Sorry.
It is. It's like, but I think that's just a. Sorry guys, you can see.
Oh, it's someone's picture. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a smudge yet, but anyway. But home sales continue to be after a very kind of rocky third quarter of last year. We have seen it stabilizing. I think we're starting to see the market stabilize a bit. I think you saw the last Fed rate hike. The things that we need to look forward to is there'll be another Fed meeting in July. I think that we'll have to see what happens there. I think there was a couple of things, banks that were on the bubble. We have to see what happens there. Core inflation is down year over year, which is not down. It's slowed. So I think, but some people are still saying that it's not great. These things will have some issues, like with the markets. And the markets are kind of like really not figuring this out too well. But there's also the debt ceiling conversation in Washington, D.C. The U.S. There's a fight in Washington over raising the debt ceiling, which some people like in Morgan Stanley have said that it can create some turmoil in the markets. The good thing about that news is that some people who fear U.S. defaults on treasuries may sell their treasuries off and have raised yields even further, which is not the best scenario to have. So, they have to increase the yield on the spread on their bonds to make them sellable. I mean, but I don't think that's going to happen. So you've heard this story play out a million times, and I don't think the U.S. is defaulting on anything soon. They'll just keep printing money to make up the difference. So that's how they handle that. So
oh boy.
yeah, so your pockets could feel heavier, but your spending ability will be decreased. So that's where we are. And then one last thing is the amount of days on the market has also seen it's stable at 102 days. But it is the first time in 2 quarters that it's over 100 days on the market. So not horrible, not bad, not like I'm not sounding any alarms here. I do think that it is a critical inflection point, though. I do think that how these numbers play out over the coming months will suggest a longer term decline or we've turned a corner. So I'd say for the next quarter, we need to watch how this plays out. So be sure to stay tuned to the May report. Even though we are in May, we're actually doing April stats.
Yeah.
May, June, July will be telltale. And I do think watch those rates. So as those rates decline, if you're in the buying market, make sure you secure. Guys, I'm not going to tell you this, is that you're not negotiating price anymore. So stop doing what you're doing to negotiate price, because I'm going to say this again on both counts. You're negotiating on rates. Stop with the whole, like, if you're $5,000 apart, someone needs to get smart about what they're doing here, or $10,000, or even $15,000. Buyers more, because if they'll make a big difference over $15,000 on the price of the house. Meanwhile, if the rates tick up a quarter of a point or even 0.2 of a point, they're basically spending the same or more. And over the course of a 30-year loan, it'll even be worse. So as a cost basis, so they may get the house $15,000 less, but it actually costs them more over the cost of the loan. Mm-hmm. You have to understand cost basis for ownership of a house, and I think a lot of people. They make a lot of emotional decisions on this stuff, but it also means, too, it's like for sellers, they don't know where the market's going to go. Negotiate what's in hand, not what you think is going to happen, okay? Too many people try to time this, and they get burned either way, on both sides of the equation. If you can't trust a professional that's doing the sale or doing it, then you either don't have the right person or you're not ready for the process. The process is sometimes, and it's not easy. So these numbers will definitely, look, I know some people's nerves are frayed over a lot of things, like getting lower offers, but that's the reality of the marketplace. We're just a messenger. So anyway, with that, I know that you kind of left on the back burner today a little bit because of it's not completely comprehending the stat sheets. We're going to promise you next month these things will be, we'll get them mapped out. We'll get them mapped out in a way.
Next month will be better.
Yeah, well, we did this on the fly. We really did. Mm-hmm. So you had pretty much this mapped out on your typical writing, and then it's like, now it's like, now everything's color coded. But it's okay. We have Jessica here. She's working diligently on making a better formatted system. Yeah. And we did this on the fly, and we thank her for putting that together. And I do definitely think it'll make it easier over the long run. Just the learning curve is a little bit higher. So a little bit higher, and I think when that is, it's like, at least sometimes it leaves us with a little speechless. But it's okay. So with that, we'll see you on Friday, right? I think we're doing a live tomorrow. I don't know why I'm thinking this is Wednesday.
We usually do our lives on Wednesdays.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, because we have a full cast and crew here today. Not everybody's too happy about us occupying all the space here. But it's tight quarters now. So anyway, we'll see you tomorrow, where the topic of choice is AI and what it means for the future. Ooh. AI, right? And there's Yahona, and she has it all planned out, mapped out with their strategy for. I can't wait to hear our insights on what the AI technology is going to bring us in the next year. You've heard it all, folks. It is an absolute buzz. This is like, right? I mean, did you hear about the AI buzz? It's just off the charts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's everywhere.
It's scary.
Yeah, we were talking about the other day. It's really scary.
Scary.
She's worried that we're going to replace her with an avatar.
I'm gonna have no job.
No,
and
no,
no house
no.
in the future.
No, you're gonna have to fix pipes.
Oh,
Or put dig ditches and make concrete like. Where's Keri now? She's making concrete.
Oh my god.
I'm only kidding. Just a joke. She'll be fine. She's adapting. We're all adapting.
Yeah.
But it's quite unique situation.
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna have fun with that tomorrow, Joe. Right?
Yep.
She's all prepared. She's been GBTing the whole ride here on those shoes. So we'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you.
I'll see you.
We'll see you. Well,
you
no,
see
we
me
only
every
see
Tuesday, Thursday.
you're on the home tours.
Okay.
You're just like everywhere.
Yeah.
You're just like
Yeah.
everywhere. So if you see her, you've seen 1,000 things that she's up to. So.
Yeah.
Go get them, Keri,
Yes.
and we'll get those stats out to you.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys.